Hello, today is Wednesday, June 11th, 2025. I was interested in the age difference between a man and woman, right? And I wondered whether they could have sex or whether they could have fruitful relationship or marriage. So let's find that out. Find out the answer coming from the Bible, right? I just trust 50% of the Bible, right? Because the Old Testament is riddled with some nonsensical stories, right? Do you have to throw rocks at your daughter when the daughter commits adultery or have sex before marriage, or I don't know? That's terrible, right? When you commit crime, you just face a death penalty by rocks thrown at you. That's terrible. So, Old Testament, you need to read it with a salt of grain, right? With a grain of salt. What does the Bible say about age differences in relationships? By Tim Collins, Bible Questions. The Bible does not give a direct command regarding age differences in romantic relationships. However, we can gain some wisdom on this issue by looking at some biblical principles regarding marriage. Okay, biblical principles. And by examining some examples of marriages in the Bible that involve spouses with large age differences. As for me, the age difference is only 2 years, right? I'm 2 years senior to my wife. Biblical principles regarding marriage. Here are some principles we can draw from Scripture regarding marriage in general. They can provide guidance when considering age differences. The Bible teaches that husbands and wives should be spiritually matched and equally yoked, equally yoked, 2 Corinthians 6:14. A significant age difference can sometimes indicate inequality in spiritual maturity and life stage. That's a good word, life stage, right? Life stage. Spiritual maturity and life stage. Husbands are called to sacrificially love their wives as Christ loved the church. Ephesians. Older husbands may need to be cautious of not relating to a much younger wife as a child. Okay, older husbands may need to be cautious of not relating to a much younger wife as a child rather than equal partner. What does it mean? Older husbands may need to be cautious of not relating to a much younger wife as a child rather than an equal partner. Okay, so when there's a huge age difference, you sometimes consider your wife as a child, not as an equal partner, right? Older husbands may need to be cautious of not relating to a much younger wife as a child rather than an equal partner. Wives are called to respect their husbands, Ephesians 5:33. Younger wives with much older husbands may struggle to respect someone who seems from another generation. Proverbs 5:18 teaches the importance of rejoicing with one's wife. Large age gaps can sometimes inhibit shared interests and romantic chemistry needed to rejoice together. God's design for marriage involves becoming one flesh. Genesis 2:24. Very large age differences can hinder unity and intimacy in marriage. I agree. Very large age differences can hinder unity and intimacy in marriage. So, in considering a marriage partner, looking for spiritual equality, romantic interest, life stage compatibility, and shared maturity is wise. A significant age difference can hinder those things, but not always. Examples of age differences in Scripture. There are some marriages recorded in Scripture that included spouses with large age gaps. Here are two examples, Isaac and Rebekah. When Abraham sent his servant to find a wife for his son Isaac, the servant found Rebekah. Isaac was 40 years old when he married Rebekah, Genesis 25:20, and Rebekah was very young, possibly in her early to mid-teens. Man, this would have made an age difference of at least 25 years. Yet Scripture presents their marriage in a positive light. That's another good expression, man. Yet Scripture presents their marriage in a positive light. Yet Scripture presents their marriage in a positive light. Yet the Scripture says presents their marriage in a positive light. The Scripture presents their marriage in a positive light. In a positive light, they were able to find unity and intimacy despite the age gap. Right? Let me go back. Right? Yet Scripture presents their marriage in a positive light. Boaz and Ruth. When the older, well-established Boaz married the younger widow Ruth, he was pleased to have her as his wife despite the age difference. Ruth 4:14. Ruth honored Boaz and put his need before her own. Ruth 3:10. And Boaz praised Ruth for her noble character. Ruth 3:11. Their conduct toward each other was the priority rather than their age difference. Principles for age differences today. So when considering an age difference in a potential marriage today, here are some principles to keep in mind. Focus on spiritual maturity and equality over age. Make sure both spouses share a strong faith commitment to Christ. Faith commitment to Christ, right? They have a strong faith commitment to Christ. Consider life stage compatibility. Being in similar life stages can help couples relate well as peers. Look for shared interests and chemistry. Pursue romance and friendship within the relationship. Seek wisdom. Listen to guidance from parents and mentors who love you. Look for red flags when flags they may see. Remember, godly character matters more than age. How the spouses honor and serve another brings blessings. Consider future caregiving. Large age gaps increase risks. One spouse will require caregiving as the other ages. If marrying younger, take it slow. Young adults need time for education, discipline, discipline, right? And experiences before marriage, education, discipline. I thought discipline. Let's go back and look for this word. Discipline. What's discipline? Yeah, so that's wrong, right? I think discipling and experiences. Disciple, right? Disciple. The Christ had 12 disciples. The Bible does not forbid or condemn marriage relationships with age differences, but bringing principles of wisdom, spiritual equality, life stage appropriateness, and shared interests together can help marriages with age gaps thrive in godly ways. Addressing concerns with large age differences. There are some potential concerns that can arise in marriages with large age differences that are important to honestly acknowledge and address. Power imbalance. A significant age gap can create a power imbalance, with the older spouse naturally holding more power in the relationship. This is heightened if the younger spouse is still a teenager. The older spouse must be careful not to exploit or take advantage of the younger spouse. There should be open communication with both spouses feeling comfortable expressing needs and desires. Outside mentoring may help guard against power issues. Outside mentoring, right? Outside mentoring. Not external, outside mentoring. Different life stages. Spouses with large differences may struggle to relate to each other, being in a different life stages. For example, a 20-year-old and a 35-year-old are likely experiencing vastly different maturity levels, interests, passions, responsibilities, and more. Effort must be made for both spouses to understand the other's life situation, future caregiving needs. Age gaps of more than 15 years create increased risks of illness and caregiving responsibilities for the younger spouse later in life. Roles may abruptly reverse. Retirement years will also likely be shared differently. Be aware of health histories and realistic about future needs. Criticism from others. Unfortunately, marriages with large age differences face stigma in many circles, right? That's another good sentence, right? Unfortunately, marriages with large age differences face stigma in many circles. Be ready to offer grace to critics and prioritize the marriage over outside opinions. Seek advice from those who know you best when discerning marriage readiness, right? Unfortunately, marriage with large age differences face stigma in many circles. Unfortunately, marriage with large age differences face stigma in many circles. Different interests and perspective. Spouses from very different generations will likely have different interests, cultural references, and perspectives on various issues. Patience and compromise is required to navigate these differences. Shared activities and quality conversation help unite spouses with age gaps. Questions of motive. Sometimes couples with substantial age gaps face, right? Questions about motives from others. For example, suspicions about seeking money, power, or status. Focusing on biblical principles of Christ-centered love and sacrifice can help overcome any incorrect assumptions. With effort and wisdom, couples with age differences can have successful godly marriages, but it is wise to thoughtfully consider these unique challenges such gaps can bring. Making a large age gap work in marriage. Okay, so I'll just read this one and start working, right? Questions about motives, right? For couples entering marriage with from now on, I'll just mimic the Trump, right? Size, age difference. Here are some tips that can help make the marriage thrive. Be equal spiritually. Focus on spiritual maturity over physical age. Nurture a shared faith commitment. Compromise on activities. Take turns choosing experiences you both enjoy from each season of life. Right? Make communication a priority. Listen well and give each other a safe space to share thoughts. Now, from now on, Elon Musk. Discuss future plans. Get on the same page regarding big issues like having kids, careers, retirement. Give grace generously. Avoid criticism. Seek to understand your spouse's perspective. Plan for changing needs. Discuss future health changes and caregiving possibilities ahead of time. Seek outside support. Find mentors, community that support your marriage. Get counseling if needed. Focus on friendship. Build your marriage first on spiritual kinship and partnership, not just romance. Make time to bond. Set aside a date night or devotional time to reconnect often. The unique challenges of an age gap can actually become strengths. Spouses can learn from each other's generational perspectives. Marriages founded on godly principles, mutual care, and wisdom can thrive through age differences. Very good. So let me go back to see if I can implement any of those. Make time to bond. Set aside a date night or devotional time to reconnect often. Focus on friendship. Build your marriage first on spiritual kinship and partnership, not just romance. Seek outside support. Find mentors and community that support your marriage. Get counseling if needed. Plan for changing needs. Discuss future health changes and caregiving possibilities ahead of time. Give grace generously. Avoid criticism. Seek to understand your spouse's perspective. Discuss future plans. Get on some page regarding big issues like having kids, careers, or retirement. Make a communication a priority. Listen well and give each other a safe space to share thoughts. Right? That's good expression. Thanks for listening. Oh, one more time. Compromise on activities. Take turns choosing experiences you both enjoy from each season of life. Be equal spiritually. Focus on spiritual maturity over physical age. Nurture a shared faith. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.